Well, hello there. My name is Ian, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm wearing my very 1980s sports coat, which means that, well, gee, Under Wraps must have finally been announced as the next Jethro Tull box set. And it may be April 1st, but no fooling, it certainly has. And I'm about to give you all the details on this, as well as some commentary and one critical concern I have about this box set. So stay tuned. I have lots to say. So first up, we have this cover image here, which I have to admit I'm not completely crazy about the art design here. They've kind of gone for the negative image war child look. I think I would have preferred something that was more like the original cover, a cleaner image. Not sure why they went in this direction, other than maybe it fits better with Walk Into Light. But this isn't for looking at, this is for listening to. So let's talk about what's included in the audio. So right off the bat, you can see there's 6 discs here. You have 2 versions of Under Wraps, 2 versions of Walk Into Light. These have been remixed by Bruce Soord of the Pineapple Thief. This will be his second Jethro Tull catalog remix. Obviously, he has mixed Rock Flute as well as Curious Ruminant, the most recent Jethro Tull albums, but this will be his first like classic album remix. So here's what separates the 2 versions. So we have a mix with the original drum machines included on both Walk Into Light and Under Wraps, as well as new mixes with drum triggers. So instead of replacing the drum machine tracks, as Ian Anderson had talked about in the past, what they've done here is used triggers to capture the same performance that was on the original albums, but they've just replaced the sounds. And you can hear an example of this. The first song from the album, Lap of Luxury, has been released as a single, and you can hear that on YouTube. You can hear that on Apple Music and other streaming services. And I do have some comments about that, which I will share for just a moment. And so, okay, back to the contents of the box. We do get a live disc here of the band's Hammersmith Odeon show, recorded by the BBC September 8th and 9th of 1984, just days within the release of the album. This is the part of the box set that I have the greatest concern about. That's because it's clear to me that the complete 2-hour show has not been included. And if we look at the track listing here, you can see that we only get 13 songs from the Hammersmith Odeon performance. And I happen to own a bootleg of this performance, which can be readily found. Used to be on Wolfgang's Vault, but I think that they've changed their website a little bit. But you can readily get both nights. And both nights together, I think, total about 44 tracks, about 22 tracks each night. And I think the most crucial oversight here is that we only get 2 songs from Under Wraps proper, Under Wraps 1 and later that same evening. Not even Nobody's Car, which was on the 25th anniversary box set. So that's a huge disappointment to me. And I'll tell you why that is. It's because this album, of course, was recorded live to the drum programming. Famously, I mean, that's why a lot of people don't like this album, is the use of that drum programming. And this kind of results in the songs all being at a similar tempo, or at least a consistent tempo throughout. And it kind of zaps the dynamics a little bit out of the recordings, because when you have a live drummer sort of kicking the band in the back, so to speak, it tends to move things forward dynamically as well as in terms of tempo. And that becomes apparent when you listen to the live recordings. And particularly one song, Apogee, I vastly prefer the live version with Don Perry on drums to the version that's on the Under Wraps album. And in my opinion, this is a huge detriment to this box set, not to include a complete Hammersmith Odeon show. However, after some thought and some reflection on this matter, I decided that it's actually not that big of a deal, or at least not as big of a deal as I used to think it was, because the Hammersmith Odeon concerts are readily available. This isn't an unreleased Jethro Tull concert we're talking about here. It's just that, in my opinion, if you couldn't include the whole thing, you probably shouldn't have included it at all. But in truth, the true red flag, I think, was when we sort of discovered that the master tapes weren't available, the multi-track tapes were available, because in a perfect world, I think I would have preferred a new mix in surround sound of the complete show by Bruce Soord. And it's clear what we're getting here are just the broadcast mixes. So it could end up being pretty much the same thing as what's circulated as a bootleg for years. Presumably, I mean, it does say remastered, so they did some sort of cleanup work on it, but I can't imagine the sound being that much improved over the bootleg, to be completely honest with you. Okay, back to the contents of the set. We do have the 6th disc here, which is the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray contains both albums, Under Wraps and Walk Into Light, remixed in stereo 5.1 and Dolby Atmos. It has been confirmed by Bruce Soord on the recent interview that he did with my colleague Jonathan Cornell on immersiveaudioalbum.com on their YouTube channel, that the multi-channel versions of these albums are the ones with the drums replaced. So if you're listening in Dolby Atmos or 5.1, you're going to get the new drum sounds, not the old sounds. But they have included the new mixes with the original drums on the CDs and maybe on the Blu-ray as well. I'm not sure exactly what the contents are. You may notice that there isn't a whole lot of information yet about what's on the Blu-ray. It does say associated recordings, 1983 to 84. These could refer to the unreleased studio tracks, which we'll talk about in just a second. But it has been confirmed that there are some demos which will be exclusive to the Blu-ray only, and there are 2 videos which are exclusive to the Blu-ray, the Lap of Luxury promo video and the tour rehearsal. So probably the most exciting thing about this set, other than the new mixes, is that we do get a number of associated recordings. Now, I have mixed feelings about moving these 4 historical associated tracks that were on the CD and included in the track running order. I have mixed feelings about including these at the end of the program, because essentially what we get is the LP running order with the legacy CD tracks at the end. Now, for 30 years, they've been part of the album's running order, so I don't understand why they've been bumped to associated recording status, especially since Tundra and Astronomy, I think, are 2 of the strongest tracks on the album. But we do get these 3 new tracks included, which I'm really excited for. Lap of Luxury demo version, Bring Back the Waltz, and Her Love is Strange. Also on the original drums remixed CD, we get the Under Wraps intro, which presumably is the introduction piece that was used at the concerts. Now, if you have the Hammersmith Odeon shows, either as bootleg or indeed on the Raw Fruit 1990 CD pressing, you will be very familiar with this Under Wraps intro. Okay, so here's what's probably the most interesting, especially for me, since I prefer the Walk Into Light solo album by Ian Anderson. We get a number of new tracks associated with Walk Into Light: Raincoat Man, In Dark Tunnels, Elizabeth in White, User Friendly version 1, Toad in the Hole alt vocal, and Clean Away. Now, I'm really excited to hear these in particular. And I may not have mentioned this, but of course, all of these extra tracks will be included in the Dolby Atmos and 5.1 programs on the Blu-ray. I should also mention that there are vinyl variants of both of these titles. So if vinyl's more your bag, you can get this bundle, which includes the CD and Blu-ray box set, plus the Under Wraps album and Walk Into Light, with the new drum programming, the newly programmed drum tracks included. So, and you can buy these individually. I just thought it was easier to show like this. So, okay, that's the new set. It releases May 15th. You can hear a preview track. Lap of Luxury has been released on streaming as well as YouTube. And I did have the opportunity to listen to it a couple of times in headphones and across a couple of different monitors. So I'm going to tell you briefly what I think of the new Lap of Luxury mix with the new drum triggers. So first up, what I noticed is that on the original mix, the drums almost seem mono, like just straight up and down. And I noticed that Bruce's new drum triggers have been spread in stereo. So you can very clearly hear the kick drum, the snare drum, the tom-toms, and the cymbals. And this is a huge upgrade in terms of drum quality. Now, the choice of drum tones is maybe not what I would have gone with. Now, the original drum machine had a very abrasive sound to it, very bright sound to it. I always felt that with a more sympathetic mix, it could sound great, honestly. Now, Ian Anderson disagrees, and he chose to do triggers as his preferred version, and that's, you know, well within his prerogative to do so. But I think I would have preferred a heavier, fuller drum sound to the relatively lightweight version that I think they ended up going with. You know, in short, I think I would have preferred it if they would have used samples that sounded closer to Don Perry's 1984 drum sounds, which are much weightier, in my opinion, much fuller sounding. I also noticed a few instances in the drum programming where it sounded like multiple cymbals on top of each other or two drums going on at the same time. And I know that when Don Perry talked about this album in an early 90s A New Day magazine interview, he mentioned that in order to successfully pull off the drum replacement, you would almost need two drummers. So it's possible that this is the sort of thing he was talking about, and the triggers have just replicated the idiosyncrasies of the original drum track. If that's the case, I'm fine with it. But I think had I been doing the mixes, I may have deleted those kind of extra drum parts, because it kind of sounds to my ear like it's a mistake. But I'm guessing that it wouldn't have been left in if it were a mistake. So moving on, I did notice that Dave Pegg's bass is much higher in the mix than it used to be. And that's definitely a good thing, because he's almost completely absent on the 1984 mixed versions. And more Dave is more better, in my opinion. Also, I noticed that we get quite a bit more guitar in the mix. Martin Barr is justified on the left side. Peter John Vitessi's keyboards are leaning towards the right. And I also hear what sounds like a kind of distorted synth that blends really masterfully with Martin's guitar tone and kind of doubles or harmonizes with his riffs more in the left channel. Last thing to mention, Ian Anderson's vocals sound a little strange to me. The processing is a little different than the original. I also suspect that some of the vocal takes are a little bit different than the original. It doesn't sound bad to me. It just sounds different. And I have to say that after 30 years of listening to the album one way, it's going to take me some getting used to listening to these new versions. But I'm looking forward to hearing what the rest of the album sounds like. I'm open to being blown away. I do think that what Bruce has done with the triggers is an improvement over the original. Again, it's just that I wish he would have chosen a more Doan-like drum tone for these mixes. So you're going to have to let me know what you think in the comments below. If you plan to order this, let me know. If you've had a chance to listen to the Lap of Luxury 2026 mix by Bruce Soord, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. I certainly think that it adds a lot of life to the song. I think that strangely it adds some dynamics to it. The one issue is that a better mix does not make Lap of Luxury a better song. And as it stands, I think it's one of the dullest Tull songs in the canon, especially up until that point. But that being said, I'm very much looking forward to hearing what Bruce was able to pull out of other tracks on the album that I like a lot better, like Nobody's Car, Heat, Under Wraps Part 1, Apogee, any of these tracks. Like I'm so excited to hear what it sounds like. So you're going to have to let me know your comments, your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I certainly intend to review this because I've been looking forward to this box set for a very long time. So yeah, thank you again. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and you'll hear from me real soon. All right, take care.